share my screen with you. And we're going to look at various examples. We're going to look at various examples of different situations where you need to think carefully about what to discard as declarer. Do interrupt me if you have any questions, but we do have some polls coming up. And let's start with this hand here, which was played a while ago. And you can see nearly everyone on this hand got to a contract of 4 spades. The suggested bidding was 1 spade, 2 spades, 3 spades, 4 spades, or it could have been different. And as you can see, nearly everyone ended up in 4 spades. Nearly everyone led the Queen of Diamonds, but only one person made the contract. Everyone else was held to 9 tricks. So I want to look at how you would play this hand. And let's imagine it's gone like that, and the opponents lead the Queen of Diamonds. And I've got a poll for you here, the first poll of the afternoon, which is how many losers do you think declarer has here? So have a little count of the possible or probable losers you have here. And in a moment, I'll launch a poll. And the question is, how many losers do you think declarer has? How many potential losers, let's say? So let me launch that first poll. You. And most of you have gone for 5, 82%, with a smaller number saying 4 and one person saying 3. So let's have a look at this and we'll count the losers. Well, if we look at the spade suit, we've got 1 loser there, the ace, and we have 3 potential heart losers, okay? In diamonds, we also have a loser because we've got the ace king, and then we're going to potentially lose the 3rd card. And we don't have any club losers. So we start off, yes, I agree with the majority of you, with 5 potential losers. And if we're going to make this contract, somehow we need to reduce that to 2. And I hope you can see that the way to do that is with the club suit. Because we've got the singleton ace opposite the king, queen, jack, we will at some point be able to play 3 rounds of clubs, and we will be able to discard 2 losers from the south hand. So when we're counting losers, it's normal to look at it from the point of view of the hand with a long trump suit and identify the number of losers in that hand. And of those 5 losers, we hope to be able to discard 2 of them on those 2 clubs. So that's what we're going to do. Now, we need to be careful about this because we're actually quite lucky that the opponents didn't lead a heart here, because they could have taken the 3 heart tricks right away. So, but because they led a diamond, it gives us a chance to play the clubs. And what we're going to do is we need to think in advance about how we're going to play this. What we want to do is win this first trick, play the ace of clubs, and then we need to get to dummy in order to cash the other 2 clubs. And we need to do this probably before we draw trumps, because if we draw trumps, there's a danger the opponents will get in and will be able to cash heart tricks before we've been able to discard them. So that's the first thing to do. Don't draw trumps right away. And also we need to keep that king of diamonds as an entry to dummy. So we're going to win this first trick with the ace. We're not going to draw trumps. We're going to cash the ace of clubs. Then we're going to cross over to dummy. And the only way to get there is with the king of diamonds. And then we're going to cash the king and queen of clubs, discarding 2 losers. And you can discard a diamond and a heart, or 2 hearts. But either way, we're hoping to get rid of those 2 of those losers. Now we've done that, we'll start drawing trumps, turn our attention to trumps. The opponents can get in, but the most they can take now is a diamond and a heart. And if they carry on in hearts, we'll rough that and then be able to draw the remaining trumps and make 10 tricks there. So on this hand, the key points were to retain the entry to dummy, the king of diamonds, and to delay drawing trumps until you've discarded on the clubs. By the way, on this hand, if West led something else, for example, if I click on the GIB link, you can see that they can defeat me on this hand if they lead a heart, for example, because they'll take their 3 heart tricks before I get a chance to do anything. But if they lead the normal lead here, which is the top of a sequence, it gives me a chance. Okay, so that was an example of discarding your losers and retaining your entries before you draw trumps. Anyone have any questions or comments on that? Let's have a look at this one where you're playing weak no trump and you open 1 no trump. Your partner bids 2 hearts, which is a transfer to spades. So you dutifully bid 2 spades, and now they bid 3 no trump. And what they're showing is enough points for game, but a hand with exactly 5 spades. So you pass that because you don't have an 8-card spade fit. And the opponents lead the jack of hearts, and you can see immediately that you're in a bit of trouble here because you've got no real stopper in hearts. However, before we get too much further, let's stop to make a plan. And in a no trump contract, we're going to start by counting our top tricks. So that's my question for you, the second poll. How many top tricks do you have here? Taking into account the strength in both hands, how many top tricks do you have? Give you a moment to think about it. And the vast majority have gone for 9, 82%, with 2 people going for 8 and 2 people going for 10. So let's have a look at this and let's count up our top tricks. Well, how many clubs have we got? We've got 5. I hope you all agree. There are 5 clubs there. How many diamonds? Well, we've got 3. We need to be a little bit careful about how we play it because we've got to play the ace and then get back to the south hand to take the king and the queen, but it should be 3 tricks there. And in spades, we have 1 top trick, the ace. So yes, I agree with most of you that we have 9 top tricks here. We obviously don't have any top tricks in hearts. And in fact, although we have 9 top tricks, we can be defeated here if the opponents start off by taking the first 5 or more heart tricks. Nothing we can do about that. So let's see what happens. But what's going to happen is the opponents are going to cash heart tricks. And as they do, we're going to have to find some discards. And what you need to do while you're discarding is think about your 9 top tricks and make sure you don't discard anything that will cut down on your top trick. So we hopefully play the queen, but it loses to the king. They play the ace, and now they carry on in hearts, and we've got to find our first discard. And they take the 8 here, and of course we've got a discard from the north hand. And of course, if you've done your counting, you will realize that you've got to discard a spade here. Okay, you need your 5 clubs in dummy to make 5 tricks there, so discard a spade by all means. And if they play another one, we've got to discard another spade. Keep those 5 clubs. Okay, and the opponents take the first 4 tricks. Luckily, they don't have any more hearts. And if they switch to a spade now, of course, you're not going to risk any finesse here because you've got 9 top tricks. You've got the remaining tricks. Just take your ace, and then you just need to be a bit careful about playing the diamonds. Play the ace of diamonds early on. Then we can come back to our hand with a club, cash 2 clubs here. And of course, before we go back to take our last clubs, we've got to cash our diamonds, or we'll never get back here again. Play the king and the queen. And again, now we'll just take our last 3 clubs. So hopefully this was relatively straightforward. And it's just a matter of counting your tricks and realizing that you can afford to discard the spades, but that you mustn't discard any clubs from the north hand. Fortunately, you were somewhat lucky in that the opponent's hearts divided 4-4, so they could only make the first 4 tricks. If they'd been divided differently, you could have gone down right away. Anyone have any comments on this one? Incidentally, 3 no trump is probably the right contract to be in here. 4 spades would probably not make here because you're in danger of losing 2 spades and 2 hearts. So you're in probably the only contract that can make, but it does need a bit of luck. If you were not playing transfers, by the way, you would end up in the same contract. You would just bid 1 no trump, and then 3 spades here shows a 5-card spade suit, and South would probably go back to 3 no trump here. Doing trump if you have a comment or question to ask about that. And let's have a look at this one here. We'll just look at it from South's point of view to start with. You open a heart here, and you've got a fairly minimum hand. Your partner bids 2 hearts, and you pass. But West, even though they passed originally, comes in with a double. That's for takeout. They don't want to let you play at the 2 level. But your partner here bids 3 hearts, and that ends the auction. And the opponents here lead the 10 of spades. And again, in a suit contract, I'd like you to think about your probable losers. So look at each suit in turn, look at it from the point of view of the South hand, and see if you can tell me how many probable losers you have altogether. How many probable or possible losers do you have? Okay, let's share the results with you. And most of you have said 5, 80%, with some saying 6 and 1 person saying 4. So let's have a look at it. So in the spade suit, we've got 1 loser. We're missing the ace. In the heart suit, looks like we're probably going to lose 2 tricks there to the ace and the king. In diamonds, we've got 1 diamond loser, the ace, and we've got a potential club loser. So that is 5 possible losers. Actually, the heart suit, I mean, if they misplay it, you might only lose 1 trick. But you might lose actually more than 2 tricks if the distribution is really bad for you. You've got 10 hearts here, but if West has got the ace, king, and the 10, then you could actually lose 3. So there's a sort of 11% chance of that distribution, a 3-0 distribution with West having all of them. But most of the time, I would think of that as likely to be 2 losers. So it comes to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losers there. So the opponents have pushed us 1 level higher than we wanted to be, and we risk going down. And what we need to do here is look at how we can avoid some of those losers. Well, we may be able to, trick them into, crashing their king and ace if that's how they're distributed. We might, for example, lead the queen of hearts or something and hope they crash. We can think of possibly avoiding the club loser by finessing, leading low towards the queen. But we have another chance here, which is making use of the king, queen, jack. And in fact, that lead is kind of helpful for us, because if they win their first trick with the ace, it now has set up the king and the queen of spades, and that will provide a discard. And when we play the king and queen of spades, what we're going to discard from the South hand is a loser. And the loser to discard is the queen of clubs. Don't make the mistake of planning to discard a diamond, because that doesn't save you on any losers. You still have a diamond loser, even if you discard the 3. Okay, so what we're going to do is plan to discard the queen of clubs on the one of the top spades. So if the opponent's, at least having won the ace, will probably not continue spades, seeing what's in dummy. And if they shift to a club, what we want to do here is to win the ace. And just like before, we don't really want to touch trumps just yet, because if they get in, they will be able to cash the king of clubs. So we need to get rid of that queen of clubs before we've drawn trumps. So what we're going to do is play a spade and then play the king of spades and discard the queen. And of course, there's a very slight chance that there's going to be a ruff there, but the chances are very low if you consider how few spades you started off with. So now we've done that, we'll turn our attention to trumps. If suppose we lead a heart, they play the king. It's worth taking stock there of what the heart situation is now. They both followed. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. There's just one heart out, and it's the ace. So someone's got the ace of hearts, and they're going to take a trick with it. Whatever they play now, though, if they play a club, we can just ruff that. There's no real need to draw that last high trump. Let's just go about our business, cashing our diamonds, forcing out the ace of diamonds. But whatever they play there, we'll get back in and be able to cash our diamonds. We're just, in the end, we're just left with hearts, but we'll just make our 9 tricks on that one. Okay, so you have to sort of not try the club finesse, throw away the queen of clubs, and realize that you can have a much better chance of establishing the spade suit to discard a loser there. By the way, in terms of the bidding, I think West made a good bid there. They've only got 8 points in high cards, so they're a little bit weak to double initially to make any bid over the first 1 heart. But once it's about to die out in 2 hearts, then they should come in with a double. They should upgrade their hand by about 3 points. And here, if you do double, North, I think, is right to bid 3 hearts, because they've got a very good heart, a very long heart, good heart fit for you. And in fact, I think East-West can make 2 spades on this hand if you don't outbid them. So that was the right call there. Do interrupt me if you have any questions on that. And let's have a look at this hand here. This was the one I sent out in email at the weekend, where your partner opens with a weak 2 spades. That's a 6-card suit with something like 6 to 10 points. And it's normally 7 or 8 losers using the losing trick count. So if you have this hand, you might be unsure about really what to bid here. You've got a very nice hand, you've got a very nice spade fit. And I would definitely think about counting my losers here. So in support of spades, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 losers only. And if I think my partner's got 7 or 8 losers, that would mean that we have a maximum of 12 losers. And that would suggest that we could bid at the 6th level. I don't think there's much point using Blackwood to ask for aces here. And let's suppose you just go for 6 spades. So that ends the auction, and the opponents lead a club. And let's have a look at this from declarer's point of view. And let's try and make a plan here. So again, I suggest as declarer, you always start off by counting your losers from the point of view of the hand with the long trump suit. So here, I don't think I've got any spade losers. I've got these hearts. In my own hand, I have 4 heart losers, but maybe I can ruff some or all of them in dummy. I've got no diamond losers because I'm void. And how many club losers do I have? Well, I have 2 potential club losers. The ace is going to win a trick, but the queen might lose, and I've got another loser. So I start off with 2 club losers and 4 potential heart losers. But I've got here the ace and king of diamonds opposite my void. And this is a good time to think, what am I going to discard when I cash the ace and king of diamonds? And if you think about the 6 potential losers you have in the south hand, the ones you really want to get rid of are the clubs, because you have such good trumps here. What you're hoping to do is to ruff all your hearts in dummy. and then discard 2 clubs on the ace king of diamonds. And that way, if all that works, you don't need to lose any tricks at all. So once you've made that plan, I hope you will all decide to play the ace here. If I click on the GIB link, you can see that leads to a +1 possibility rather than just making it. So we'll take the ace, and because what we're going to do on this hand, we've got the ideal holding to cross ruff, in particular to ruff those 4 hearts. We're going to cash our winners, the ace and king of diamonds. And on those, we're going to discard our 2 losing clubs so that we don't lose any clubs. And again, there's a very small chance that someone might be able to ruff here, but it's quite small given that you started with only 5 diamonds between the 2 hands. The opponents have started with 8, and it's very likely you'll be able to cash your ace and king of diamonds. Once you've done that, then we're going to think about cross-ruffing. So we'll maybe play another club, which we're going to ruff. And it's a good idea when you start ruffing to ruff with your low trump. Here I've only got 1 low trump in each hand. I've got the ace, king, queen, jack, 10, 9, 8, 7, all high. And I've got the 2 and 3. So I'm going to ruff that 2 of clubs low. Then I'm going to play a heart and ruff that one low. And if I get away with that, and the odds are very good for that, now I'm in great shape because I've just got high trump in both hands and I can just cross ruff this. Cannot be over ruffed here. And I can ruff the hearts, ruff the clubs, ruff the hearts, ruff a diamond, and ruff that last heart. And in the end, I'll make all 13 tricks on that one. So that was important there to discard the clubs, because if you made the mistake of discarding the hearts, you would still be left with potential club losers. Doon Trump, if you have any questions on that one. And let's have a look at this one, which will be the last hand for today. We open 1 heart here. There's a 1 spade overcall. My partner jumps to 4 hearts, and that's the final auction. And the opponents leave the king of spades, and down comes dummy, and we're going to stop to make a plan. And I'm going to ask you, there isn't a poll on this, but start off by counting your potential losers from the point of view of your own hand, but taking into account everything in dummy, and see if you can find a way to make at least 10 tricks here. So let's go through this. In spades, in the south hand, I've got 2 losers here, but I have every expectation I'll be able to ruff both of those in dummy. So if I can ruff both of those in dummy, then I won't lose any spade tricks. What about hearts? I've got 9 trump here, but my only high cards are the ace and king. So if I'm lucky and they divide 2-2, I don't lose any tricks there. If the 3-1 division occurs, which is more likely, then I've got a heart loser there. In diamonds, I don't have any losers here. I've got the ace, king, queen, but I do have 3 club losers. And I'm counting that as a potential loser, that king of clubs, because if the ace is in the west hand, then I'm likely to lose 3 clubs. So I start off with 3 club losers, some spade losers which I hope to ruff, and maybe a heart loser. So let's see what happens. Let's win that first trick. And because I'm hoping to just ruff twice in dummy, I think I can afford to try drawing trumps first. I'm hoping for, as I play the hearts, that they will all fall on 2 rounds and I don't need to lose any tricks. And I'll still be left with 2 hearts in dummy. So I don't need to do the spade ruffs yet, although you possibly could, but I'm going to start off by trying to draw 2 rounds of trumps. It will leave me with 2 trumps, so it's still okay to draw trumps. So we'll play the first round. The king wins the first trick. Let's play another one. The jack loses to the ace, and we get the slightly bad news that West discards. So there's 1 high trump out. East has it. It's the queen. And it's a very good idea not to not to draw it. In fact, at this point, if I click on the GIB button, the computer is telling me that I can make this contract, but I mustn't play another heart, because what would happen is they get in and they'd be able to play clubs. So the only option here is to try to cash as many diamonds as I can here before they are able to get in and ruff. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with the diamonds. By the way, I'm still not in a terrible rush to ruff the spades. I can always do that because I've still got 2 trump left in dummy. So I'm going to play another diamond, play another one. And when I play the 3rd diamond, I'm planning here to discard one of my losers. If East comes in with the queen, their last trump, I'm going to discard a loser. And again, I don't need to discard the spade losers because I can ruff those, but I'm going to discard a club loser. So again, the computer is saying the only way to make this contract now is to discard a club, and now you won't lose 3 club tricks. So if I just bring up the 4 hands at this point, you can see East will probably shift to a club, which traps my king, and the opponents are able to take a 2nd club trick. But after that, I can ruff. The opponent's got no more trump, and now I can just ruff those last 2 spades. So I'll ruff a spade there. I can ruff a diamond on the way back and ruff another spade. And I've got a trump at the end. So that way I can make 10 tricks on that one, even with a slightly bad trump break. But the thing not to do here is not to draw that 3rd round of trump, and also to think about what you're going to discard on that long diamond suit, which again should be the clubs rather than the spades, which you can ruff anyway. Anyone have any comments or questions on that? That's the end of the talk there.